Of course, if you're trying to lucid dream now, you need to do techniques and dream journal and probably wake up in the middle of the fucking night and like do all this shit, right? But I remember there was these kind of philosophies, I guess, or kind of unorthodox lucid dreaming techniques on dreamviews, our lucid dreaming forum I'm always talking about. There were these kind of posts that came out in 2011 that were more about using your mindset and not doing techniques at all to get lucid dreams. Sometimes not doing anything, like no fucking dream journaling or anything like that. These things never really reached mainstream lucid dreaming communities or whatever, because obviously now we're still doing fucking techniques and whatever, but still these posts got really popular on dreamviews and they may be some help. The like kind of most popular one of these is Silverbullet's newly revised key to lucid dreaming. Now, this Silverbullet guy who made this post, his first post ever on the forum was talking about how he struggled to get lucid dreams, right? He couldn't lucid dream, he tried so much, but using this technique, which the premise of which is basically to do nothing, like that's the fucking technique, kind of do nothing, which I'll explain and I'll go into detail on. Using this, he got like 200 lucid dreams in a year or some shit from basically doing nothing. And what I mean by this is, his whole technique was that it's more about mindset. You don't have to do lucid dreaming techniques. You don't even have to fucking dream journal. He didn't dream journal and he claimed he had lucid dreams whenever he wanted. And there's kind of 4 steps to his technique, which I know that kind of contradicts what I was talking about. Let me close this. That kind of contradicts what I was talking about because I said his technique is about doing nothing, right? But hear me out. The first step is to forget that lucid dreaming is hard. You need to think or believe fully that lucid dreaming is just completely easy. The second step, kind of the same, which is that you need to believe you're a natural lucid dreamer. It's your fucking destiny to lucid dream every night, any night you want, okay? So it's kind of like deluding yourself a bit. It's kind of deluding yourself. The third step to his lucid dreaming key is to pick something to do in a lucid dream and kind of just do it. What he means by this is, kind of, for example, decide you want to look at your hands in your dreams and then become lucid after doing that. So you just decide to do that and kind of do it. The fourth step is basically just if you wake up from a lucid dream, stay still, keep your eyes closed, and DEILD, which is like a dream exit initiated lucid dream. Every lucid dreamer knows that. The fourth step is just kind of how to re-enter a lucid dream after you like kind of wake up from it, right? But so that was his whole 4 steps. His whole 4 steps to his key to lucid dreaming, which he claimed got him lucid dreams without any struggle, just by kind of deluding himself into thinking he was a natural lucid dreamer. And interestingly enough, the first kind of 2 pages of this post, like the first 2 pages of replies, were people talking about how this gave them lucid dreams. And people were talking about how they just kind of believed they were a natural lucid dreamer, told themselves they had always been lucid dreaming easily, and lots of people were saying they got lucid dreams off this shit. There was someone called Raspberry who got 33 lucid dreams using no techniques, like I think just a regular dream journaling or some shit like that, and they said they got those lucid dreams off following Silverbullet's advice. Now, people did kind of get hostile when this came out a little later in the thread because he was kind of vague. He was vague, and so he had to expand on exactly what he meant by just deluding yourself or believing you're a natural lucid dreamer. Because obviously I can tell you, just believe you're a natural lucid dreamer, right? And you'll have a bunch of lucid dreams and you're probably like, how the fuck do I do that? I can't just tell myself I'm a natural lucid dreamer unless you're kind of like really mentally ill like me or some shit, and you can just delude yourself into believing anything you want, okay? But that's a whole other conversation. We're not even getting into that. It kind of reminds me of some law of attraction, law of assumption type shit, but despite how vague it was, as I said, lots of people getting success, and this ended up getting like 200 likes on the forum or some shit. But he did go into more detail on it later after people were like, how exactly do I believe I'm a natural lucid dreamer? I want lucid dreams or whatever. And he explained it was actually about intent. So when you say it's about intent, that's obviously more helpful than just saying, believe you're a natural lucid dreamer, right? But still, intent is basically just mild, mnemonic-induced lucid dreaming, which is the technique where you set intention to remember to realize you're dreaming the next time you're dreaming. So isn't he just talking about mild? No, because his definition of intent is different to the normal definition of intent. And he uses a sorcerer's definition of intent. I hope this shit makes sense. Sorry, I haven't spoken to you in so long. I feel like I'm kind of talking quickly and rambling on. But he's talking about a sorcerer's definition of intent, which he actually got from Carlos Castaneda, which is that guy I talked about. I don't know if you've heard about him. I talked about him like once before. He was this sorcerer who claimed he could do like actual magic, for real magic. And he wrote a book. He's kind of popular within esoteric kind of magic communities, I guess. And Silverbullet claims he got a lot of ideas about this intent thing from Carlos Castaneda. And this is a quote he says. What he means by intent is, one way to set your intent is first shutting off your thoughts completely, at least for an instant, and then feeling the emotion of wanting to lucid dream. So that's basically just shutting off your thoughts, feeling the emotion of wanting to lucid dream is similar to a state akin to sleep. I'm dropping a bunch of terms on you. It's similar to the thing I talked about to do with my dream incubation. Every time I want to incubate a dream, before you go to sleep, kind of long story short, just think about the dream you want and force yourself to feel really strong emotions to kind of emotionally charge that thought, and then you may end up having that dream. Fucking hell, I'm gonna stop yapping. But basically all he's saying is to better set your intention and convince yourself you're a natural lucid dreamer, clear your mind and feel the emotions of being a natural lucid dreamer. So the difference with that and mild is you're thinking about the last lucid dream you had, right? And then imagining yourself becoming lucid in it. And that's a technique that is setting your intent to remember to realize the next time you're dreaming, or become lucid the next time you're dreaming. His technique is that you want to convince yourself you're a natural lucid dreamer. I'm kind of repeating myself to get the point across. And you do this by feeling the emotions you would feel if you were already the lucid dreamer you wanted to be, right? And that will kind of help delude you. That will help delude yourself into believing you're a natural lucid dreamer over time. So he actually does recommend using this technique, or whatever the fuck it is, in Awake Back to Bed, which is where you wake up 4 to 6 hours after sleep. You can just do that by telling yourself you're gonna wake up at like 4 a.m, whatever. Your brain has an internal alarm clock. I've talked about a lot. But to do this technique, which may give you lucid dreams much easier, you can either do it in an awakening in the night or before bed. Instead of doing mild or wild, instead of merely just setting intention to lucid dream, instead imagine you're becoming lucid in your future dream and feel the emotions you would feel if you're a natural lucid dreamer. Like I said, now over time, this may just get better. You may get better and better at deluding yourself. That's the whole technique is really just deluding yourself. But like, unironically, it may actually give you lucid dreams, because lucid dreaming, of course, is all it's just thing in your mind. It's all about your consciousness. And someone else actually wrote a better kind of follow-up post to this that's more clearer. His name was like to Charlie or some shit. I'm just going to call him Charlie because I can't pronounce his name. But he made a separate post kind of built off Silverbullets that was actually praised by a lot of dreamviews. All the moderators, all like the people who had thousands of lucid dreams were actually praising this post. And Charlie's whole thing was once again about intent, but it was clearer, and he kind of talked about it from a more psychological perspective. And he said the technique you use, so the lucid dreaming technique you use, you know how we're all dream journaling and doing reality checks and doing mild, he says this was not as important as, my chair is making mad fucking noises. He said the technique you're doing is not as important as your intent and your mindset. And he basically says if you don't have good intention to lucid dream and you don't have a good mindset, then even if you're doing mild and reality checks and all the techniques, that actually does not matter that much. Because he says the technique is just a vehicle to get your intent across, which actually makes sense. I feel like that may be the kind of factor that separates people who get lucid dreams easier, and kind of separates them from people who struggle getting a lot of lucid dreams. You kind of see a lot of the times with two lucid dreaming noobs. One person is doing, I mean, they're both doing like the same techniques, but maybe one of them is getting a lot of lucid dreams and the other person is not, and they're struggling, and they keep talking in the lucid-discord, join our Discord in the description. They keep talking about, I can't get lucid dreams, blah, blah, blah. I'm not getting lucid dreams. That may be because their mindset and their intention, and they have a bad intention. I've always talked about how intention is like the most important fucking thing to do with lucid dreaming, right? And I guess Charlie was just, and Silverbullet to a degree, was just reiterating this, that even if you're doing a shit ton of lucid dreaming techniques, if you're just doing them mindlessly and you kind of have no belief in yourself, not that you need belief in yourself, but if you are not fucking setting intention to become lucid, right? If you don't have a good mindset, that will really, really make lucid dreaming much easier. And Charlie made a whole other post about how you can kind of use this intention deluding yourself thing instead of doing techniques. And he was talking about neuronal or like neuron plasticity or some shit, and he kind of gave a theory on why some people are natural lucid dreamers and some aren't. And I mean, most aren't natural lucid dreamers, right? And he was saying this kind of has to do with the neurons in your brain and kind of the whole mindset thing. And he was saying it may be that natural lucid dreamers, for example, just had a nightmare when they were a kid, and so they wanted to get rid of that and became lucid to get rid of the nightmare. And then they kind of got into a loop where they had one lucid dream. They thought it was easy because they were a kid and had the lucid dream easily. So then they could have another lucid dream and another lucid dream. And they kind of got into this loop where eventually lucid dreaming is so natural to them. And I think that is a reason, I think that's a reason why children have lucid dreams much easier than adults, right? Is because they can just decide to lucid dream. It's not that there's something with their child brain that makes them better at lucid dreaming. It's that, for example, when I was 4 years old and had I just had to let my dog in. When I had my first lucid dream, it was as simple as deciding to lucid dream. Like that's what it was. I was 4. I didn't fucking read techniques. I didn't dream journal. I just decided to become lucid, and it worked after like 2 days. And I think Silverbullet's whole point, I'm yapping, but Silverbullet's whole point is just that lucid dreaming is a struggle for people because they're getting bogged down by all these techniques and dream journaling and all this kind of shit, right? And I think that's kind of what's hindering people. But they kind of say what's more important is your mindset. Now, of course, like I've been saying, it's not easy to just delude yourself into thinking you're a natural lucid dreamer, which is why you can do exercises that are similar to the state akin to sleep. People that, the state akin to sleep technique, that the kind of law of attraction manifestation motherfuckers do, which is laying down before you go to sleep. Imagine you're lucid dreaming. Imagine you're flying around doing whatever you want, like you would be doing during the mild technique, except force yourself to feel really happy emotions. I'm just repeating myself at this point, but basically that's a way you can help delude yourself into thinking you're a fucking natural lucid dreamer, and over time this may change your brain to make it much easier. Long story short, I just been yapping. I highly doubt you're still listening to me, but it's interesting. I will send you the link to Silverbullet's newly revised Key to Lucid Dreaming, which is all about just removing doubts and believing you can already lucid dream without doing anything else. Unsubscribe from me, leave me a mean comment. Farewell. Goodbye. I love you.